This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, I am Paige Cargioli. My business is Open Heart Holistic Therapy, and today I am doing a live EPT session with James here. In case you don't know, EPT is a totally different approach in emotional health care. Instead of relying on regular talk therapy or medication, EPT relies on the science of forgiveness to help people resolve the unresolved conflicts in their lives that are making them sick or feel bad so that they can be happier and healthier despite whatever the circumstances might be. So, James, is it okay if we record this session and use it on the internet?
Yes, it is okay.
All right, thank you, James. So as we go along, James, I'll explain as much as I can. I know you've already watched a video of mine because you told me right before we started.
Mhm.
And I just want to know, is there something specific that you want to focus on for your own health, well-being, whatever it might be?
So I would say that obviously there's some type of unresolved childhood, something or another that goes on my life to draw me to the significant others that I've had in my life, and there's something there that's unresolved that continues to crop up and cause me plenty of emotional struggle, turmoil, and pain. I don't know what it
So
is,
are you,
how to heal it.
okay, so you're in a relationship right now?
Yes,
Yes. Okay, and how long have you been in that one?
5 years.
Okay. So you're in a relationship right now, 5 years, and how's that?
Not good, not good at all.
Okay. Okay, so it's not good because you're just having a certain it's struggle, it's a struggle, but is it like what like describe emotions, feelings?
So, from my emotional perspective, I am a lot like a martyr. So I
Oh,
find
okay.
people that need to be rescued, um,
Okay.
or or they think they need to be rescued. I think they need to be rescued. Don't really
Or
know.
yeah.
Um, and then I proceed down
Okay.
that path at the sacrifice of myself and my
But your
health
own.
and happiness and all of those things,
Okay.
all to a dead end
Okay.
road, as I view that they're probably not internally happy. And obviously there's some non-internal happiness in me that would allow me to subjugate myself to that on a continuous basis.
Okay, so the sort of history that you've had in relationships is that you go to, well, maybe intentionally or not intentionally, there's something maybe to be fixed, whether you know it or not.
Yeah,
And that's like you're kind
subconsciously
of,
for sure.
yeah, but then it becomes conscious later. You're like, I'm
Yeah,
drawn to the, I'm drawn to this somehow, and then I'm like, oh no, I'm stuck because I can't, I have to fix this thing, whatever it is. Okay,
I'd say that's
all
fairly
right,
accurate.
okay. So I started just writing relationship woes, and then I was writing some of what you said.
Hmm.
So let's see. Um, so it's like getting into a um, but it's not just like I'm going to fix the problem. It seems like the problem is always there, and no matter what I do, there's always a problem.
Yeah, yeah, I'd go with that.
Okay, okay.
Which
All
I'll
right.
I'll own my part of that. I don't really know exactly what it is, but I know relationships are a two-sided street. So
Yeah.
obviously I'm not perfect.
Hmm. So, um, okay. So I'm like, I'm trying to think of what the positive would be. So there's the something in you is attracting or attracted to I don't know, a hot mess or like something or just something something like that.
I
Uh,
I would like
but
to think not, but that's
yes,
kind of what.
it feels like that's what it feels.
Yeah.
That's the feeling. Okay. The feeling. Okay. Um, well, and like there's the good side of that too, where it's, to see that to well, to see it or not, but to know that imperfection in someone, and then also to feel like that person is to hope that that person is willing to grow or change. Not that you're getting into it because of that, but on the one side, it's I can see the potential in that person as well. So it's not just I'm attracted to a hot mess. It's I see more than that. I see that that person can be better, and that's probably really where you're like it's where your kind of subconscious is fighting. Um,
Oh, I definitely see more than that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's like you see so much more, but then that person doesn't always see that for themselves.
That would be accurate as well.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So it's like being able to sort of see more, want more, but not take it personally when it doesn't go that way. Um, well,
Uh,
that's the direction we're going.
Maybe. I mean, it's the pain that goes along the the path, the lashing out, and the fighting and the blaming and all of that.
Hmm.
That's really the hard part. Like
Okay.
I lead a team of people, so being let down that people can't achieve what you're asking of them, that's something I'm pretty comfortable with, I guess you would say.
Like in business,
Yeah.
like in like professional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then it's more about okay. So it's also about um, feeling just like you said, not taking the emotional hit um, in the relationship is overwhelming.
Yeah, it's almost like a tidal
Yeah.
wave coming at me on a regular basis that freezes me from all logical thought and
Okay.
understanding, you know. I can see mild correlations to how it felt like my dad would attack me whenever I was younger and how that would make me just freeze.
Hmm.
Um, and I can't have any type of meaningful, constructive conversation in that space whatsoever in my life.
Well, in relationships specifically, but not
Yeah.
necessarily in like business. You can handle it there.
Yeah, business is no problem. I'm not emotionally invested
Yeah.
in business,
Yeah.
which is something that the more I learn, like there's a real simple reason why I can be fantastic at business and completely shitty at I'm sorry,
Yeah.
completely not very good
Yeah.
at personal life.
Yeah.
And
Um,
it definitely has to do with the emotional attachment piece. Like I can't disconnect my emotions from the conversation when it's at home.
yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay. I see. All right. Um, so what we're really looking for is for you to just feel secure in yourself, but also be able to, um, like in relationships at home, feeling secure in yourself and whatever your reaction is, um,
I would say
and to be
security is a huge, huge
yeah.
issue in my life, feeling secure.
So secure. Um, all right. So that's okay. So that's what it is. It's feeling secure in yourself in the relationship, or being able to take some sort of action in the relationship because you just said I freeze, and I in another circumstance I could maybe figure this out and not have that frozen sort of just martyr mentality. But for whatever reason, in this situation, it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, all right, so, and taking action specifically for not out of like avoidance or anger, but out of a compassion for yourself and even a compassion for the other person. Basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure there's some type of hang up that I'm gonna explode. Well, I know that there's just not a possibility. I know that there's a hang up that I might the feelings inside are so big. If they come out, they'll probably be overwhelming to everybody.
Yeah, compassion. Okay. Yeah, because that's okay. Taking action out of compassion. So we're gonna try to build in that security and also figure out basically like it would probably take more sessions to really get you maybe to an action point, but maybe not. You never know, can happen. But like at least but to feel that security will help you be able to discern or take a better action, but you're like afraid to take an action because you're thinking it's going to be terrible. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to have it all all of that together of just the relationship woes in general. Feeling beat up and frozen. And then we're going to build in the security and your ability to hopefully take action more out of compassion for yourself and for them in this situation. And again, and I'm even thinking further ahead, like, you know, another thing would be to find those relationships, whether it's in your current one or in another one, where you can feel secure, where you're not beat up, and you're not afraid to take action.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we're stepping it through. Okay. All right. So to start, what we're going to do, even though I've already started, is I've got magnets. We usually use magnets, but you don't have magnets, I don't think. So, so we're going to start with doing some breathing and rapport. If you were hanging out in my office, I always say, you know, I'll have my hands on you. But since you're not, you will put your hands on yourself. So if you can, so it's going to be your hands on your head like this.
Well,
I know you have your headphones on.
we're front or here. Let's see if we can do something.
So it's like the side of your head. Your video froze, but I can still hear you, I think.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to breathe together 3 times with your hands like this, and you kind of squeeze on the inhale, and you release on the exhale. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And then one more time. And then another thing we do is 3 more breaths, but you put one finger in between your eyes on the bridge of your nose, and then one on the back of your head right at the base of your skull. And it's the same thing. You sort of squeeze and lift, and you inhale, and then you release and you exhale. So breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe in. Oh, apparently my internet's slow today. Let me close a couple programs. All right. Okay, and then what you're gonna do is just think about that relationship. And I'm gonna test so I'm using muscle testing. So again, if you're in my office, I would use your arm and I would use your body, but since you're way over there, I'm going to use myself to muscle test. So, all right. So, yeah. So distress, I'm testing at just a 7. So not super high, but high. Maybe you're used to it. And then I also test elation to see if you're addicted somehow. It's like a 4, so not super high, so it's fine. But what we would want is for your elation to feel good on taking action and being secure. I want your distress to be down just in these types of relationships, so that you can take action properly. So stage of healing, I check. So we use I have my little card here. There's 7 stages of healing, but they're like the stages of grief. Denial, anger, bargain, depression, acceptance, but then we also have light emerging and creation of new life. So you can kind of cycle through these, but you're always growing. So when you create something new, there's always this sort of excitement and transition. There might be denial, there might be anger. Like you go through them, you can go through them very quickly in different parts of your life. And right now, it's stage of healing anger for you. The next one I'm going to test is whatever blocks to healing there might be. Showing up is weak. So I like to explain that if you're not able to show up, pay attention, tell the truth, or let go, it's a lot harder to heal. So showing up, it helps me to make statements when we work together. So showing up is weak, which makes sense with the frozen idea. All right, so issues today is 1. All right. So I'm checking, again, I have these little charts that I'm testing on. So okay, heart, lost and vulnerable. Okay, so I feel lost and vulnerable towards your partner. Who's that? Bella?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So currently, I feel lost and vulnerable. I feel lost and vulnerable with Bella. And what would be the because?
I don't know if I understand, Paige.
Oh, okay, so it's so currently right now, with the testing and finding the emotions, it's I feel lost and vulnerable with Bella, and then you can kind of fill in the because. Is it because what I do doesn't matter? Is it because she's mad at me? No. Because, like, you can fill in the blank.
I would say she's not committed.
Yeah, at least for this, it's not that one's not working. Because she's not committed. Let's think of another way of saying it. Like,
I don't know how to say it. I mean, I feel betrayed by her,
okay, there you
She
go.
wanted to get married in January, and, I have
All
one
right,
question, are you committed to
there it is.
this? Yeah.
Okay, so so betrayed works. So I like because you feel betrayed. Like she betrayed me. We had this
Yeah.
plan and now it's like wishy-washy. Okay.
I don't know if it's wishy-washy. It feels like it's completely out the window.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna look for an original. Okay. All right. So let's see. So it's 4 years old. And I feel angry with someone else. Okay. I feel angry at my dad. Do you know anything at 4?
No.
Okay. Okay, so I feel angry at my dad at 4. Could you think of a reason why you would be angry at your dad at 4?
I think we moved to Texas when I was 4. I think I started preschool or kindergarten when I was
Okay.
4. When I started kindergarten, I had to get rid of my nickname because there was 3 other people in the class that had that name. So,
Oh no.
I mean, other than that, I don't know.
Okay, I felt angry at my dad when I was 4 because did you have other siblings?
Yeah, I had 2 brothers.
Okay. Were they older or younger?
Both were older.
Okay. How much older?
One's almost 2 years older, and the other is 5 years older, roughly.
Okay.
A little over 5.
All right. And were your mom and dad together?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So I feel angry at dad when I'm 4. I'm like, the betrayed me doesn't really work for dad. Let's see. I mean, it could be something to do with the move, but I mean, maybe not. Let's see. Was he an angry person or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you know what works at least is I feel angry with my dad when I'm 4, and it seems to be just like because he's in charge. Like,
That could work.
I don't know
He's
if
a chauvinistic
I'm like,
asshole. So yeah, I mean, that could work.
okay.
That hasn't changed.
Well, and I'm thinking in your relationship, you may also feel like you just don't ever get a say in anything. Or it's like
Yeah.
there's no discussion. It's just everything just happens to me. Okay. Um, do you know if you like well let's do a little fixing. So it's a right hand on your liver, so there. And then a hand on your forehead. And it's I feel angry with my dad when I'm 4 because he's in charge.
I feel angry with my dad at 4 because he's in charge.
Yeah, so we're gonna breathe 3 times. So breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right. And then you can take your hands down. All right. And then there's other emotions. Yep. Did you? Okay. Um, it's heart. Uh, and it's lost and vulnerable, but it's your mom's feeling of being lost and vulnerable.
My mom's feeling.
Lost and vulnerable. So I feel angry at my dad because he's in charge, but then I also feel my mom's feeling of being lost and vulnerable when I was 4.
I could believe that.
Uh, okay. And is that because, again, I mean, the he's in charge doesn't really work so much for mom, but is it just like, I don't know how their relationship was. Um,
Well, he moved us down to Texas for his job, and my mom's entire family lives in
oh,
Wisconsin and in Illinois, and he was gone, at least 26 weeks out of the year with his work
whoa.
in the Gulf of Mexico. So she was home alone raising three boys between 4 and 10 years old without
I
any
mean,
support system. So I
yeah.
I could see that. I don't know if that's it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's funny because the betrayed word works better for your mom. Like she feels betrayed somehow by your dad. Um, so you had to move. He wasn't around, but he was still in charge in some
Oh
weird
yeah.
way.
Oh yeah.
Um, so it's as if anything she did was always going to be scrutinized by him, even
Mhm.
not when he's not there.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt
Okay.
that.
Okay. Mm. So, all right. So that feeling of lost and vulnerable is really coming down to your mom's feeling, um, not necessarily your feeling. And that probably frozen feeling might also be coming from your mom's feeling of just not knowing what to do and having, you know, like very little choice in the matter. Um,
That wouldn't
okay.
surprise me.
All right. So mom feels lost and vulnerable because, I mean, even like strong words like, like your dad ruined her life or something. Um, like I'm guessing she didn't want to move or wasn't interested in moving, or I don't know if it was an exciting thing or not.
I have absolutely no idea. All I know is it's what we did.
It's okay.
And
Okay.
she still lives in the trailer house that he bought for temporary housing while we lived down there. And that's been, I'm 40, so let's see,
Whoa.
36 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
So I know that she has some pretty strong feelings about that.
Oh, okay. Awesome, Muller mom. Let's see. And is her family anywhere nearby or no?
Now, no. The closest
Okay, no.
family, a lot of her family has moved to Arkansas, which is still
No.
about an 8 to 10 hour drive from where they
Yeah.
live. But it's closer than the 20-hour drive to where they used to live.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. So now put a hand on your heart and a hand on your forehead. Um, and we're thinking it's your mom feels lost and vulnerable when you're 4 because she feels like she's stuck and her life is ruined somehow and she feels betrayed. Breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe in. Um, you can put your hands down. Your mom isn't like a meek person, is she? Like would she fight back or
Oh
like
no,
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 mm-mm. He's the
or would
boss.
she? Was she like passive aggressive? Like
I would say she
um
was passive aggressive.
okay, okay, that's what I was wondering. Like
I
I'm just
mean,
wondering what she did.
she would gossip to people or
Okay,
us as
okay,
kids and put us kind of
okay,
in the middle of that power struggle.
okay. Well, that's what I was wondering because part of me is even wondering if even in your relationships you can have a little bit of some of that mom dad thing going on where maybe your mom is like kind of passive aggressive and just feels like everything is ruined all the time, and then your dad is always in charge and and it's just super critical, which is probably a combo of what you get sometimes in your relationships. You get both of those where you get a hypercritical person who doesn't give you any choice, but also always feels bad about themselves.
Not far off, at least in this relationship.
Okay.
Has
Okay.
no sense of self-worth
Okay.
and self-value, but uber critical, which she gets from her mom. Everything has to be perfect.
Okay. Yeah, and that's no other emotions, which surprises me. So just your anger with your dad, and then your mom's feeling of lost and vulnerable. Um, and we'll do forgiveness. And, oh wait, let me check trauma. P2 trauma for you, which makes sense. That's the fight, flight, or freeze. So the phase 2 trauma is like your freeze mode. It's the where you're not sure what to do or um, how to react.
Mhm.
Do you ever remember your parents fighting, or no, or like
Mm-mm.
no? Okay. Uh,
No, if they had to have a discussion, they would go into their room.
oh. Okay. All right. Um,
Well, my mom would never question my dad's authority in front of him,
oh, okay. All
in
right.
front of us.
All right. Yeah, and you don't know or remember if you had any like injuries or sicknesses when you were 4, or if any, not that you
Mm,
know of.
Possibly like tonsillitis, but
Oh, okay.
I remember I had a lot of tonsillitis when I was a kid, and they were very
Oh,
close to taking my tonsils out. Like my tonsils would get so big that they would almost squish together.
oh wow. Okay. So there's a good chance you were probably sick at some time during your during that time. Okay.
I
Um,
think so. I don't know what age
probably.
that season
Okay.
was.
Okay. Um, but it might also be a little, well, I don't know. I don't sense fear. It's just maybe just taking on, it's more your mom's feelings, I think, especially that frozenness. But um, we'll get to it in the forgiveness. So what that means for phase 2 trauma is you tap the top of your head while we say statements. If you get tired of doing that, you can put your hand on your chest and rub these points below your collarbone. And I'm like, where's my little card? There it is. And I do follow like a little card, more or less, while we do the statements. All right,
Mm.
so we'll do all of this. And if one of the so with lost and feelings of lost and vulnerable, it's heart, but also the positive feelings on that list is the feelings of feeling safe, secure, and complete. So
hmm
um, so we're there. So we're gonna build that in. All right. So and then I have my qigong machine here on this side. So
And what's that?
to help to keep my energy up.
Uh,
but if you were in here, I'd put it on you um, while we did statements. So it's like if you it's a sound therapy machine, and I always tell people it's FDA approved for pain, but we use it for all kinds of stuff. It's got just like a little purr to it. They measured the frequency coming out of qigong masters' hands and then put it in a machine. That's what it is.
mm,
So all right, so just repeat after me, and then we'll breathe after each statement. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that this feeling of being lost and vulnerable
that this feeling of being lost and vulnerable
in my relationships
in my relationships
will always be this way.
will always be this way.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I have to hold on
that I have to hold on
to my mom's feeling of being lost and vulnerable
to my mom's feeling of being lost and vulnerable
when I was 4.
when I was 4.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
it was my fault
it was my fault
that my mom felt lost and vulnerable.
that my mom felt lost and vulnerable.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I have to feel lost and vulnerable
that I have to feel lost and vulnerable
with Bella
with Bella
because she betrayed me,
because she betrayed me,
like my mom felt
like my mom felt
with my dad.
with my dad.
And breathe. I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for every time
for every time
I hurt someone's feelings
I hurt someone's feelings
when they feel lost and vulnerable
when they feel lost and vulnerable
or angry.
or angry.
And breathe. I forgive my 4-year-old self for believing
I forgive my 4-year-old self for believing
he has to be angry at his dad
he has to be angry at his dad
because his dad is in charge
because his dad is in charge
and it's hurting his mom.
and it's hurting his mom.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I can only show up in relationships
I can only show up in relationships
feeling angry and lost and vulnerable
feeling angry and lost and vulnerable
because because I get betrayed
because I get betrayed
and have no say.
and have no say.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
if I show up in relationships,
if I show up in relationships,
I'll be betrayed.
I'll be betrayed.
Like my mom felt betrayed and stuck with my dad.
Like my mom felt betrayed and stuck with my dad.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I have to be reminded of my parents' relationship
I should be reminded of my parents' relationship
um, and the anger
and the anger
and the betrayal
and the betrayal
when I'm in my own relationship.
when I'm in my own relationship.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I can't feel
I can't feel
safe, secure, and complete
safe, secure, and complete
as long as my dad's in charge
as long as my dad is in charge
and and upsetting my mom.
and upsetting my mom.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
my dad has to change
My dad has to change
before I can feel
before I can feel
love, forgiveness, and happiness.
love, forgiveness, and happiness.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
my mom has to change
my mom has to change
before I can feel
before I can feel
safe, secure, and complete.
safe, secure, and complete.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I have to feel like a frozen 4-year-old
I have to feel like a frozen 4-year-old
when um, when I'm being hurt
when I'm being hurt
emotionally
emotionally
in my relationships.
in my relationships.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that this hidden memory has to change
that this hidden memory has to change
before I can love and accept myself
before I can love and accept myself
the way I am.
the way I am.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for holding on to anger
for holding on to anger
with my dad
with my dad
um, because he's in charge
because he's in charge
and I'm not allowed to express it.
and I'm not allowed to express it.
Yeah, and breathe. I give my 4-year-old self permission
I give my 4-year-old self permission
to feel all of the anger
to feel all of the anger
with his dad
with his dad
and how he ran the family.
and how he ran the family.
And I call it all up
And I call it all up
and I release it
and I release it
from my body, mind, and spirit.
from my body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for hurting my feelings
for hurting my feelings
and hurting my mom's feelings
and hurting my mom's feelings
with his authority.
with his authority.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that if I show up in my relationships
that if I show up in my relationships
with any security or confidence,
with any security and confidence,
that will make me like my dad
that will make me like my dad
and I'll hurt someone.
and I'll hurt someone.
And breathe. I forgive my mom
I forgive my mom
for not knowing how to take action
for not knowing how to take action
um, or feel secure
or feel secure
when my dad was in charge.
or feel secure when my dad was in charge.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my mom
I forgive my mom
for blaming my dad
for blaming my dad
for her life not being what she wanted.
For her life not being what she wanted.
Yeah, and breathe. I give my mom permission to forgive me
I give my mom permission to forgive me
for blaming her
for blaming her
when I feel lost and vulnerable
for when I feel lost and vulnerable
in my relationships,
in my relationships,
because um, in my relationships when um, they don't work out the way I want.
when they don't work out the way I want.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that relationships will never work out the way I want.
that relationships will never work out the way I want.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for attracting relationships
for attracting relationships
where I'm trying to fix my mom and dad's dynamic
where I'm trying to fix my mom and dad's dynamic
from when I was 4.
from when I was 4.
And breathe. I give my dad permission to forgive me
I give my dad permission to forgive me
when I blame him
when I blame him
for the anger I can't express.
for the anger I cannot express.
Yeah, and breathe. I love and accept myself,
I love and accept myself,
even when I'm afraid.
even when I'm afraid.
My mom will always feel lost and vulnerable in this relationship.
My mom will always feel lost and vulnerable in this relationship.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I have to feel like my mom.
I have to feel like my mom,
Like nothing I do will ever be good enough.
like nothing I do will ever be good enough.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I can't feel safe, secure, and complete.
I can't feel safe, secure, and complete.
Love, forgiveness, and happiness.
Love, forgiveness, and happiness.
Um, unless my mom can feel that as well.
Unless my mom can feel that as well,
Or the person that I'm in a relationship with
or the person that I'm in a relationship with
has to feel that security
has to feel that security
before I can feel that security.
before I can feel that security.
Yeah. I love and accept myself even when I'm afraid.
I love and accept myself even when I am afraid.
If I feel secure, safe, and complete.
If I feel safe, secure, and complete.
Forgiveness and happiness.
Forgiveness and happiness.
My mom will be left behind
My mom will be left behind
and won't be better in her relationship.
and won't be better in her relationship.
Yeah, agreed. I love and accept myself even when I'm afraid.
I love and accept myself even when I am afraid.
Success in my relationships
Success in my relationships
means someone I love will fail.
means someone I love will fail.
Yeah, breathe. I love and accept myself,
I love and accept myself,
even when I'm afraid.
even when I'm afraid.
If I show up,
If I show up,
it'll be angry like my dad.
it will be angry like my dad.
Yeah, and breathe. I love and accept myself,
I love and accept myself,
even when I'm afraid.
even when I am afraid.
Um, um, I'll be betrayed again.
I'll be betrayed again.
Yeah, and breathe. I love and accept myself,
I love and accept myself,
showing up,
showing up,
feeling safe, secure, and complete.
feeling safe, secure, and complete
Um, in my relationships,
in my relationships.
and breathe. All right, without this feeling, without my mom's feeling of being lost and vulnerable,
Without my mom's feeling of being lost and vulnerable,
I am free
I am free
to feel secure, safe, and complete
to feel secure, safe, and complete
uh, in my relationships.
in my relationships.
And breathe. Without this anger from when I was 4,
Without this anger from when I was 4,
with my dad,
with my dad,
I am free
I am free
to show up
to show up,
and feel love, forgiveness, and happiness.
to feel love, forgiveness, and happiness
Um, uh, um, in my relationships.
in my relationships.
Yeah, and breathe. Um, without this pattern, I am free
Without this pattern, I am free
to love myself more
to love myself more
and take action out of compassion
and take action out of compassion
instead of the anger I felt from when I was 4.
instead of the anger I felt when I was 4.
And breathe. Without this pattern, I am free
Without this pattern, I am free
to um, to forgive Bella
to forgive Bella
and um, and feel secure and happy
to feel secure and happy
um, with where we are and where we're going.
with where we are and where we're going.
Um, yeah, and breathe. Without this pattern, I am free
Without this pattern, I am free
to let go of my mom and dad, to let go of needing my parents to be different people
to let go of needing my parents to be different people
and um, um, and honoring whatever gifts they've given me,
and honoring whatever gifts they've given me
um, so that I can move forward
so I can move forward
um, in confidence
in confidence
and security
and security
in my relationships.
in my relationships.
Yeah, and breathe. Without this pattern, I am free.
Without this pattern, I am free
To respond differently
to respond differently
and in my relationship with Bella.
in my relationship with Bella.
So we can grow
So we can grow
in love, forgiveness, and happiness.
in love, forgiveness, and happiness.
Yeah, breathe. And you can add together or apart, either way, whatever direction, as long as it's forward for both of you.
Mhm.
Without this pattern, I am free.
Without this pattern, I am free
To show up for others.
to show up for others,
Not as a savior or a martyr,
not as a savior or a martyr,
but because of love
but because of love
and compassion.
and compassion.
Yeah, and breathe. All right, let's see where we're at. So, thinking about your relationship, how are you feeling? Number
Tired.
switch. Tired. That's fine. That's good. You can expect afterwards. Usually, you feel a little bit tired. You might be thirsty, hungry. Yawning is. I always like yawning. I'm like, good. Things are moving. We're like, your brain is like working hard.
Mm-hmm.
The yawn is like I don't know, like if you're working out, it's like sweating, but for your brain.
Yeah, there was a lot of those. I've never had somebody yawns in a session of anything.
So the distress went down from a 7 to a 4. Your elation on feeling just more secure and taking action went up to a 7, so that's good. And stage of healing is 6, which is light emerging. So I got you a little bit past acceptance. I always like that. What it says on this card is transition, like birthing a baby. Good changes begin to happen, but then it can feel like the bottom's falling out. But then you have new stuff. It's good. It's good. It's like you're able to make a different choice, whatever that choice is, and how you react consciously or unconsciously.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So that's how a session goes. And if you ever want to come to Tampa,
Right.
so you're feeling tired. I'm gonna turn off the recording, but I hope that this helps you.
I hope so too. We'll only see once we start
Yes, yeah, I know.
having stimulus.
Yes, that's always true. You can kind of imagine, but you're not always sure how it's going to actually play out. So thank you so
Right.
much for doing this, James.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.